Thunder.
Vote for my mom, Cassie.
Joseph Ramirez, how are you doing this morning?
Doing great. Thank you, brother.
Thank you for having us. We're here at Ferdinand's Mexican Restaurant and Bar in Robstown, Texas. It's my first time here. I had some breakfast and it was delicious.
I bet.
Yes, sir. So why don't you tell the folks at home one of the reasons, or the main reason we're here is...
Well, we're here. It's a meet and greet in Robstown for Cassie Bonilla. And we're here in Fermin's because it's outdoors and it's a beautiful morning. Thank God the weather cooperated. But, because of COVID restrictions, we're trying to do most of our stuff outdoors and spread out.
Well,
Smaller crowds,
and outside. Well, you're right about the weather really did cooperate because
Yes.
it was really cold. There was ice on my car this morning.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, and then we drove out here, and it was a little chilly, but the sun on my back now
Feels great.
it's an amazing morning. So,
Yeah.
good. It's good for everybody to be out and supporting the community, and that's why we're out here to support Cassie Bonilla, who's
Yes.
running. This is in the Democrat primary, right?
Yes, a Democratic primary, and she's running for Nueces County Court at Law number 1. It's a seat that is being vacated. Current judge is Judge Robert Vargas from Robstown, actually.
Okay.
And he's retiring this year, so it's an open seat up for grabs. And the biggest reason, the number one reason why I'm supporting Cassie for this seat is because I think we're at a time where we need new energy, new ideas, new blood, not only in the party but in our judicial system.
Okay.
In the political process. Sure. I think democracy is ready for the new ideas that some of these younger folks bring to the table. And knowing her story, not just because she's young, but knowing her story, knowing her qualifications, knowing what she did to get here, makes it even that much more better. She graduated. I tell her, you're like the Mexican legal Doogie Howser. She graduated high school at a young age, and she became a lawyer at a very young age, which is unheard of. She's been a lawyer for almost a decade now, and she's been a lawyer in the courtroom. She's been a prosecutor. She's worked everything that this court has jurisdiction over. Cassie has personal experience in the judicial field.
Terrific. I did see some of these. I completely agree in the sense how you're talking about new people, not even just being young, but kind of newer generation as well in terms of the party. You're saying, I think one of the things that you can see, I don't want to say criticize, but there is an older generation that's still in charge of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so I do think that people are ready for that, and I don't think people should confuse Cassie's youthfulness with an experience. Exactly. Because she graduated or became a lawyer when most people were just finishing up their first bachelor's, maybe at 23. Exactly. At 23 years old, I think is when I had just wrapped up school. Exactly. And here she is already finishing up a post-grad and everything. So she has accomplished quite a bit, considering, I think, she's 30, mid-30s.
Yeah,
so
she's mid-30s, yeah.
And already has children and a beautiful family.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and she comes from a great family to start off with, but she's, made the way up the legal ladder on her own, fighting in a field that, for one, is hard for minorities, and especially women. And, she's managed to overcome those obstacles and make a real good name for herself. And a respected name for herself here in this community.
I agree wholeheartedly. One of the things that I wanted to get with you on to kind of for the people at home, and let me remind the people at home, Cassie has her website. I think CassieForJudge.com.
Yes.
It's a real nice site there that will give you, so you can put she has beautiful, her campaign sign and photo is great.
Yes.
Okay. Kudos, 10 points.
The marketing part is great. Right?
They did hit a home run on that. I think that looks great. But then also on the website, CassieForJudge.com, you can see some photos of her get to know her a little bit more, read her bio. When is I know we're doing the meet and greet today.
Yeah.
What's January the 28th?
Yes.
When is the voting and early voting,
So
some of
early,
those things?
early voting starts February 14th.
Okay.
And what we've said is if you want to get any of these ladies that are running for office a great Valentine's gift,
Yeah.
go give them your vote
Go give 'em your vote.
Monday, February 14th.
Okay.
And that runs through the end of the month. It's 2 weeks of early voting. And then election day is March the 1st. It's Tuesday, March the 1st.
Tuesday, March the 1st is the election day, but the
Correct.
early voting starts February the
14th,
14th.
yes.
Terrific. Yeah, and then early voting is
And that's for
so
two,
important.
That's for 2 straight weeks.
For 2 straight weeks. And in a primary, a lot of times getting that early vote, you get a big lead.
Well, actually, that's what everybody pushes now. Because man, I've been doing this for about 20 years here, or about 15 years here in South Texas, and I can tell you stories of election days that floods, freezes, like all kinds of just weird stuff that happens on election
On the day, you're right. And I'll be honest, I'm the voter who likes to go on election day because I like the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I like standing in line
Yes.
and doing it. But there is always that risk that something can come up and you can't.
And
then
here
vote.
in Nueces County, a couple of years ago, we went to something that's called vote centers. So during early vote, doesn't matter where you live or what your precinct is, you can go vote anywhere in Nueces County. You give them your address, they'll pull up your precinct and give you your ballot. But on election day, we've done that now. Remember, you used to have to go vote at your precinct on election day.
Okay.
Now
They've changed that.
Yeah. So, like
Okay.
for example, a lot of schools are polling places.
Yes.
And there's teachers that don't live near their, they might live in Robstown but teach in Corpus.
Correct.
Now they, during their lunch hour, they can go vote at their school, and they'll get their ballot. So anywhere in the city, or people that work at the base but live over here, if you get out at 6 and you only have an hour and you're not going to make it, you can stop by, somewhere close to your job and vote.
I think that's a good.
It's
That's a
great.
good
It's
change
great.
because I know personally I have shown up somewhere where I wanted to vote and I wasn't able to.
And for some people, they might go to the next one, but for some, they're like,
Sure.
nah.
No, of course. And it took me a while. Like where I go vote is at a local elementary near where I work, and I probably voted there now in the past 4 election cycles probably. So I'm real comfortable. I know I can get my vote there.
Yeah.
But when you move in from out of town or something like that, so these changes are great. So again, folks, CassieForJudge.com, and then early voting starts on the 14th.
Yeah, February
Election day,
14th, 2
March
weeks,
the 1st.
March 1st, yes.
Cassie, Bonilla, Nueces County Judge
County Court of Law number 1.
number 1. Joseph Ramirez, thank you for joining
Thank you
us.
so much,
We
guys.
hope to
Thank you
have
for
you
joining
again
us.
at some other events.
Yeah.
If there's other into this magic box, Charlie. If you say something into this magic box, magic unicorns will be in your closet when you go home.
He's gonna do it.
Vote for my mom, Cassie.
Perfect. We'll do it one more.
Here today just to meet people from Robstown, Texas, and those that might drive in from somewhere else as well, because I'm running for Nueces County Democratic Party County Chair.
Okay.
I've worked politics in Robstown before I left for Austin and since I came back too, but you always want to meet new people
Certainly.
and new voters. So I want to be the county chair for Nueces County because I have a passion for this work. I have represented workers across the state for over 50 years. I first became a union member in 1967.
Okay.
So that tells you I'm an old woman. But
You're kind of aging yourself now. Okay.
I've done politics all those years, both with members of the unions and the community.
Yes, ma'am.
All over. And then I went to Austin for almost 15 years with the Texas AFL-CIO, and I retired to come back to my community, which is Corpus Christi. So that's why I think I can. We have some community things that are caused by national issues.
Okay.
And I'm concerned about some of those. I'm concerned about the hatred that just prevails. And I think we need to unify ourselves, unify those who care about each other. And that seems to be missing. And I also am concerned about the attack on voter rights.
Okay.
I was listening to a story the other night from Georgia, but I think it's no different than Texas. when you're challenged on your application for a mail ballot and you're a senior citizen, 1 out of 4 people who have to prove that they're eligible or prove that they're really Becky Moeller, 1 out of 4 is all that goes to vote because they're intimidated by that process. They're embarrassed by the process. They're afraid to go vote then. So we've got to fix that. You know, other states have nothing but mail-in ballots. Oregon, as an example. There is not a single polling place in Oregon where you go vote in person. It's 100% mail. Have you ever heard voter fraud alleged in Oregon? No.
Correct.
So why, when it's limited in these other states, the southern states, why do they cry fraud all the time from the Republican Party? We've got to get back to taking care of our citizens, and that's whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. You shouldn't be intimidated at the polling place, and you certainly shouldn't be intimidated.
And as for the office that you're running for, could you repeat that again? Is the
Nueces County Democratic Party chair.
The party chair, and in that position, will that afford you opportunities to pursue? You're saying some of these issues that you're passionate about in terms of voter rights and the laws regarding elections. Is that something that you really want to be in the forefront or a leader in?
Yes, I do. And I think that, you have to have a seat at the table to partake of the food on the table. And I think this will give us, I've been an advocate for people for all my work in life. I can be an advocate for voters in Nueces County. I can be an advocate for voters in Texas.
Okay.
I have networks all over the state, but we've got to get back to dignity to voters. Dignity to voters is so important.
My name is Victor Perez. I'm originally from the Hidalgo County, Rio Grande Valley, of course, but I'm running for the State Board of Education, District 2. I'm going to talk a little bit about my education background. I started off as a prep professional, worked myself up, got my teaching degree, moved and became a counselor, working with at-risk students. After that, I went and I got my master's, and I became an assistant principal, then a principal. And then from there, I also became the director of an early college program at the district that I worked at. After that, I got promoted and became the assistant superintendent for school operations. And so, it's something that I bring to the table. Another thing that I bring to the table is I've been a school board member, I've been a municipal judge, and I've been a city council member. So to me, it's very important right now that what we're going through with our schools, we need somebody experienced, we need somebody that understands, that's been through the ranks of the school system. And so not only that, but also it's important to me that I've always been an advocate for teachers and our students. When I was a school board member, when I was in the city council, we did partnerships with the school districts. Right now, currently, I'm the executive director for the Far Economic Development Corporation. Well, what I'm doing now is we're a partnership, and that's the only EDC that partners up with the early colleges, with high schools, with the colleges and universities, and of course the Texas Workforce Commission, Texas Workforce Solutions. So we connect education into our workforce because we know that we got to prepare students for the future. And so another thing that I created about a year ago was the FAR EDC Foundation. With the foundation, we started, that we were planning to begin fundraising. I created a board, and we wanted to fundraise, and the mayor, the city of FAR, and the city council donated $500,000 to our foundation, and we started actually, instead of awarding kids their scholarships 2 years from now, we did it last year when we first got that funds.
Terrific.
We did about $300,000 in scholarships. And so right now we just had a meeting, and the other day we had a board meeting on Thursday with my foundation, and we got a check from a private citizen for $25,000. And they said, we did it because we know what you're doing, Mr. Perez, and we're doing that. What you're doing is for the future and the future of our students, and they're the ones that are going to be our leaders in the next generation. So
that's terrific. People trust you when they open up their checkbook.
Yes,
People trust you when they want to donate. So that's amazing. That's amazing. One of the things that you mentioned and you've highlighted is your experience and all these different levels of the education along the way. So I think that is something you should continue to highlight, because it really does resonates with me. Hearing your story, I'm just glad that you've made it. So you're from the valley. So
Yes.
Far is in the valley, right?
Far is in the valley, and again, I started working with McAllen ISD, and then I moved up to PSA ISD, which PSA starts on Alamo, right? I live in Alamo, but I was on the board for the PSA school district, one of the most successful school districts, and we had one of the most successful superintendents, which is Dr. Daniel King, that I got to work with, and so we were recognized, all over the state and the U.S. I think he ended up going to Washington D.C. And visiting one of the presidents up there. So.
Yeah, and so we're here this morning at a meet and greet at Fermin's Mexican Restaurant and Bar, and you are the mayor of Robstown, so obviously that's what brings you here, and it's been a lovely morning. Have you had a chance to visit with some of the candidates that we have?
I have, I have, and I wanted to welcome everybody here to Robstown to this great place for beans. Besides being a great location, is one of the places we have the best tacos here in town, so I can attest to that. But I'm here to join all the candidates that are running for office here for the Democratic Party here in our primary, and even those that are going to move on to the November election. I think it's important for them to go to all the little communities and small communities and talk to people, meet the people here, because we have a lot of citizens here who are very interested in politics and who do their civic duty and vote. And we are a big political town. Our Robstown, we have some political people that have come out of Robstown. They're in our state rep, Moeller from Robstown, and so on. So I'm glad these people take the time to come here. I really appreciate that, for them giving the citizens of Robstown an opportunity to come and talk to them, meet them, ask them questions, see where they stand. And my part is just to welcome them and wish them all the best, and hopefully that they'll be victorious and be able to move on and do what they're thinking that is the best thing to do for our communities.
Terrific, and I will agree. I'm first time here to Fermin's Restaurant, but I had the taco. I had a chorizo and egg, delicious. Great prices, folks.
Yes.
The pricing was great. The atmosphere, very nice, and I think we were very fortunate. Thank God the weather really cooperated.
It really did. It didn't seem that way yesterday morning. It was a totally different story, correct? But today it's nice, and it's going to get even nicer. So people need to come out here and take advantage of that.
I think so. It was very cold this morning when we drove out. There was ice on my windshield, and when we got here early, setting up about an hour early, so maybe 8:30, it was still a little cold out here, but then the sun came out and changed everything. So it is a beautiful day. Mr. Gomez,
yes.
right? Mr. Gomez, thank you for taking the time,
yes, sir.
and thank you for having us here in Robstown.
He's gonna do it.
Vote for my mom, Cassie.
Perfect. We'll do it one more